Day 37. The storm is here. I'm alone, 2,000 miles from land. My boat is taking on water, and I've just made a terrible mistake. But let me start from the beginning. Hello everyone. Welcome to this English learning adventure. Today, I'm going to tell you the true story of Emma Carter, a 32-year-old teacher from Boston who decided to do something extraordinary. She decided to sail across the Atlantic Ocean alone. Let me repeat that important word. Alone. It means by yourself, with no one else, solo, single-handed. Now, why would anyone want to sail across an ocean alone? That's what everyone asked Emma. And that's where our story begins. Emma had always loved the sea. As a child, she would stand on the beach in Cape Cod and watch the sailboats. She would watch them disappear over the horizon. The horizon, that's the line where the sky meets the sea. Can you picture it? The distant line where everything becomes blue? Emma's father was a sailor. He taught her everything about boats. He taught her how to navigate. That means to find your way using maps and instruments. He taught her about the wind, the waves, the tides. A tide is the regular rise and fall of the ocean. It happens because of the moon's gravity pulling on the water. Isn't that amazing? The moon controls the ocean. But Emma's father had one dream he never completed. He wanted to sail across the Atlantic, alone, from Boston, Massachusetts to Falmouth, England, 3,000 miles of open ocean. Then, 5 years ago, Emma's father passed away. He died before he could make his journey, and Emma made a promise. She promised herself she would complete his dream. For 3 years, Emma prepared. Let me say that word again, prepared. It means to get ready, to plan, to practice. Preparation is the noun. To prepare is the verb. Emma saved money. She worked extra jobs on weekends. She sold her car. She moved into a smaller apartment. Why? Because boats are expensive. A good sailing boat can cost $50,000, $100,000, even more. She found a boat called the Wanderer. Wanderer is a beautiful word. It means someone who travels without a fixed destination, who roams, who explores. Perfect name for an ocean-crossing boat. The Wanderer was 35 feet long. That's about 10.5 meters. Not huge, but big enough for one person and all the supplies needed for a 40-day journey. Emma had to learn so many things. Let me teach you some important nautical words. Nautical means related to sailing and ships. She practiced tacking and jibing. These are different ways to change direction when sailing. She learned about port and starboard. Port is the left side of the boat. Starboard is the right. Sailors never say left and right because it can be confusing. She studied weather patterns, learned to read the sky, practiced navigation using both GPS and traditional methods with a sextant. That's an old instrument that uses the position of the sun and stars to tell you where you are. June 1st, Departure Day. Departure means leaving, starting a journey. The opposite is arrival, when you reach your destination. Emma stood on the dock in Boston Harbor. A dock is a platform where boats are tied up. The morning sun was rising. Her boat was packed with 40 days of food supplies, 60 gallons of fresh water, emergency equipment, a satellite phone, solar panels for electricity, navigation equipment, a life raft in case of emergency, and hundreds of other items. Her friends and family came to say goodbye. Her mother cried. Her brother looked worried. Her best friend Sarah gave her a hug and said, "Are you sure about this?" Emma smiled. "I've never been more sure of anything." At 9 a.m., Emma cast off. That's a nautical expression, meaning to release the ropes and leave the dock. She started the small motor, yes, sailboats have motors for getting in and out of harbors, and slowly moved away from the dock. People waved. Some people cheered. Emma felt her heart beating fast. She was excited and nervous at the same time. Can you imagine how she felt? As she left Boston Harbor, she raised the mainsail. That's the largest sail. The wind caught it. The boat leaned slightly to one side. We call this heeling. And the Wanderer began to sail. Emma turned off the motor. Now there was only the sound of wind and water. She was heading east, toward the open Atlantic, toward England, toward adventure, and toward dangers she couldn't imagine yet. The first week was beautiful. Emma found her rhythm at sea. Rhythm means a regular pattern, a routine. At sea, you develop a rhythm. You eat, sleep, and work at specific times. The weather was perfect. Moderate winds, that means not too strong, not too weak, just right, about 15 knots. A knot is how we measure speed at sea. 1 knot equals 1.15 miles per hour or 1.85 kilometers per hour. So 15 knots is about 17 miles per hour. Not fast for a car, but good for a sailboat. The sky was blue. The swells were gentle. Swells are long, rolling waves in the open ocean, different from the short, choppy waves near shore. Emma saw dolphins. A pod of dolphins, pod is the word for a group of dolphins, swam alongside the Wanderer. They jumped and played. Emma laughed out loud. She hadn't heard her own voice in 3 days. This was something she noticed, the solitude. Solitude is an important word. It means being alone, but it's different from loneliness. Loneliness is sad, but solitude can be peaceful, beautiful, even powerful. Emma began talking to herself. She began talking to the boat. "Good morning, Wanderer. How are you today? Are you thirsty? Let me clean the salt off your deck." Is that strange? Maybe. But at sea, alone, the boat becomes your companion, your friend, your only friend. By week 2, Emma was 800 miles from land, in any direction. Think about that. 800 miles. That's the distance from New York to Chicago, and it was all water, deep, dark blue water. The euphoria of the first week, euphoria means intense happiness and excitement, was fading. Now came the hard part. The wind died. Died is an expression sailors use when the wind stops completely. No wind means no sailing. The boat just sits there, rocking gently on the swells, going nowhere. This is called being becalmed. Becalmed means stuck at sea with no wind. It's frustrating. Imagine sitting in your car, wanting to drive somewhere, but having no gasoline. That's how it feels. Emma couldn't use the motor. Why? Because she needed to save fuel for emergencies. So she waited. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The sun became intense. Intense means very strong, extreme. The temperature reached 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius. Emma tried to stay in the shade of the sail, but there wasn't much shade. She was running low on water. She tried to ration it. Ration means to carefully limit how much you use of something to make it last longer. Her skin got sunburned despite the sunscreen. Her lips cracked. She felt tired, hot, frustrated. On the 4th day of no wind, Emma questioned her decision. "What am I doing out here?" she said to the empty ocean. "This is crazy. I should have stayed home. I should have..." But then, on the 5th morning, she felt something. A gentle breeze on her cheek. The sail moved slightly, then more. The wind was returning. Emma jumped up. She adjusted the sails. The Wanderer began to move. Slowly at first, then faster. Emma could have cried with relief. Relief means the feeling when something difficult or painful ends. This taught her an important lesson about sailing, about life, patience. Patience means the ability to wait calmly, to accept difficulties without becoming angry or upset. The ocean teaches patience. You cannot force the wind to blow. You cannot make the waves smaller. You can only adapt. Adapt means to change your behavior or expectations to fit the situation. By week 3, Emma had sailed over 1,500 miles. She was past the halfway point, the middle of her journey. Something interesting happened. The solitude stopped being difficult. It became normal, even beautiful. Emma developed a deeper connection with the ocean. She noticed patterns in the waves. She could predict weather changes by watching the clouds. She understood the moods of the sea. Yes, moods. The ocean has moods just like people. Sometimes it's calm and gentle. We call this flat calm. Sometimes it's playful with small dancing waves. Sometimes it's angry with large crashing waves. Emma's senses became sharper. Senses are sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. At sea, you use all of them. She could smell rain coming before she saw clouds. She could hear changes in the wind. She could feel tiny shifts in the boat's movement that told her when to adjust the sails. She saw incredible things. At night, without any city lights, the stars were incredible. The Milky Way looked like a river of light across the sky. Emma had never seen anything so beautiful. She thought about her father. She imagined him on this same ocean, seeing these same stars. She felt close to him, even though he was gone. The solitude became meditative. Meditative means calm, thoughtful, peaceful, like meditation. Day 30. Emma checked her weather instruments. The barometric pressure was dropping, fast. Barometric pressure measures the weight of air. When it drops quickly, it means bad weather is coming, usually a storm. Emma had been lucky so far. Some rain, yes. Some rough seas, yes. But no real storms. That was about to change. She checked her weather forecast on the satellite system. Weather forecast means prediction of future weather. The screen showed something that made her heart sink. Heart sink is an idiom meaning to suddenly feel worried or frightened. A low-pressure system was moving toward her. This is a scientific term for a storm, and this wasn't just any storm. This was a gale. A gale is a very strong wind between 34 and 47 knots, 39 to 54 miles per hour. The forecast showed winds up to 50 knots with waves up to 20 feet high. Emma had prepared for this. She knew what to do, but knowing and doing are different things. She began storm preparation. Number 1, she reefed the sails. This means making them smaller so the wind doesn't overpower the boat. Number 2, she secured everything on deck, tied down anything that could move. Number 3, she battened down the hatches. This is a famous nautical expression meaning to close and secure all openings. Number 4, she prepared her storm jib, a small, strong sail used in heavy weather. Number 5, she put on her safety harness, a harness with a rope that attaches to the boat so she can't fall overboard. Number 6, she checked the bilge pumps. Bilge is the bottom of the boat where water collects, and pumps remove this water. The sky was getting dark. Not night dark, storm dark, the color of old bruises, purple, gray, green. The wind began to increase, 20 knots, 25 knots, 30 knots. The waves grew larger. The wanderer began to pitch and roll. Pitch means tilting forward and backward. Roll means tilting to the side. Emma's stomach felt sick, not from fear, from the motion. This is called seasickness, a kind of motion sickness that happens on boats. But there was no time to be sick. The storm was here. Day 37. Remember this from the beginning? This is the moment we opened with. The storm was ferocious. Ferocious means extremely violent and fierce. The wind screamed. Yes, screamed. That's the word sailors use because the sound is so loud and high-pitched, it sounds like screaming. Waves crashed over the boat, 20 feet high. That's as tall as a 2-story building. Imagine a building of water crashing onto your head. Emma was soaking wet. Soaking wet means completely wet as possible. The rain and sea spray covered everything. Her foul weather gear, that special waterproof clothing for sailors, wasn't enough. The boat climbed up wave faces, then dropped down the other side. Her stomach dropped with it. Up, down, like a terrible roller coaster that never stops. She had been at the helm means the steering wheel, for 6 hours straight. Her hands ached from gripping the wheel. Her arms were exhausted. Then she saw something that made her blood run cold. Made her blood run cold is an idiom meaning made her very frightened. A huge wave, bigger than the others, much bigger, maybe 30 feet, coming right at her. A rogue wave. This is a rare, unpredictable wave that is much larger than surrounding waves. Dangerous, deadly. Emma didn't have time to think. She turned the boat to face the wave head on. This is important. You never let a big wave hit you from the side, or it can capsize the boat. Capsize means flip over. The wave lifted the wanderer like a toy. The boat climbed and climbed and climbed. Emma held her breath. At the top of the wave, for a moment, she could see the whole ocean, mountains of water everywhere. The boat hung there, suspended. Then they dropped, fell, down the face of the wave. Crash! The impact threw Emma against the wheel. Pain shot through her ribs. Water flooded the cockpit, the area where you steer the boat. For a few seconds, Emma couldn't see anything, couldn't breathe, just water everywhere. Then the boat surfaced. The water drained from the cockpit. Emma coughed, gasped for air. She checked herself. Everything hurt, but nothing was broken. She checked the boat. This was critical. If the mast had broken, if the hull had cracked, she would be in serious danger. The mast was standing. The sails were damaged but intact. The hull seemed okay. But then she looked down and saw water, not just spray, real water inside the boat, more than there should be. Something was wrong. The boat was taking on water. The bilge pumps were running, but water was coming in faster than they could pump it out. Emma's heart raced. This was the terrible mistake I mentioned at the beginning. During storm preparation, in her rush, she had forgotten to completely close one of the seacocks. A seacock is a valve that controls water flow into or out of the boat. This one was for the head. That's the nautical word for toilet. It was only slightly open, but in these conditions, with waves crashing over, water was forcing its way in. She had to fix it, now. But to reach it, she would have to go below deck, into the cabin, while the storm raged above. Emma clipped her safety harness to a secure point and climbed down into the cabin. Inside, it was chaos. Chaos means complete disorder and confusion. Books, food, equipment, everything was sliding around with each wave. The water was ankle deep and rising. She could hear it sloshing. Sloshing means the sound of liquid moving around. She crawled to the head compartment. The boat was pitching violently. She had to hold on with one hand while working with the other. She reached the seacock. It was partially open, just as she thought. Water was spraying through with each wave impact. She tried to close it. It wouldn't move. Corroded. That means damaged by rust and salt water. The valve was stuck. Emma felt panic rising. Panic is sudden, overwhelming fear. She forced herself to breathe slowly. Think, Emma, think. She found a wrench in her toolbox. She fitted it on the valve. She pulled. Nothing. She pulled harder. Her hands were wet and kept slipping. Above her, she heard another huge wave crash onto the deck. The boat shuddered. Shuddered means shook violently. "Come on!" she shouted. She put all her strength into it, all her fear, all her determination. The valve moved, just slightly. She adjusted the wrench and pulled again. It moved more, once more, and it closed, completely. The spray of water stopped. Emma sat back, breathing hard. Her hands were shaking, but she had done it. Now she just had to wait out the storm. Wait out means to stay safe until something difficult passes. She turned on all the bilge pumps to remove the water that had gotten in. She went back on deck. The storm was still raging, but Emma had saved her boat and herself. 18 hours later, the storm passed. 18 hours! Can you imagine? The wind calmed, the waves became smaller, the sky cleared. Emma was exhausted. She had barely slept. She was bruised, sore, and tired beyond belief. But she was alive. The Wanderer was still sailing. They had survived. Emma made hot tea, her first hot drink since the storm began. She sat in the cockpit, wrapped in a blanket, and watched the sunrise. It was the most beautiful sunrise of her life. The ocean was calm now. Calm after a storm seems even more peaceful. The water sparkled in the morning light. A few clouds drifted by. Everything felt different, tranquil. That means calm and peaceful. Emma realized something important. She had been truly tested. The ocean had challenged her with its greatest power, and she had met that challenge. She had kept her head, solved the problem, and survived. She felt different, stronger, more confident. She had proven something to herself. Over the next 10 days, the sailing was beautiful. Good winds, clear skies. Emma covered over 150 miles per day. She saw ships on the horizon, the first signs that she was approaching Europe. She saw more seabirds. They don't fly too far from land. On day 47, early morning, Emma saw something that made her cry with joy. Land. The coast of England, the green hills, the white cliffs. She had done it. She had sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, solo, single-handed, alone. She radioed the harbor in Falmouth. They had been tracking her progress. They were ready to welcome her. Emma sailed into Falmouth Harbor on day 48, the morning of June 19th, 48 days after leaving Boston. There was a small crowd waiting. News of her journey had spread. People cheered as the Wanderer came in. Emma waved, smiling, tears running down her face. She tied up at the dock. That means securing the boat with ropes. When she stepped onto solid ground, her legs were shaky. She had been on a moving boat for so long that standing on something that didn't move felt strange. Reporters asked her questions. How do you feel? What was the hardest part? Were you ever afraid? What did you learn? Emma thought about her answers. She said, I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I learned patience. I learned that solitude isn't the same as loneliness. I learned to respect the ocean, its beauty, and its power. But most importantly, I learned that the journey is as important as the destination. Every mile, every challenge, every moment taught me something. My father taught me to sail, but this journey taught me to live, to face fear, to solve problems, to appreciate the simple things: fresh water, calm weather, a sunrise. The ocean is the greatest teacher. It doesn't care who you are, it treats everyone the same. If you respect it, prepare well, stay calm under pressure, you can achieve incredible things. Someone asked, would you do it again? Emma laughed. Ask me in a month when I've had proper sleep and proper food. But in her heart, she knew the answer. Yes, because some experiences change you forever. They become part of who you are. And that's Emma's story, a story of courage, preparation, problem-solving, and personal growth. But it's also a story about English. Did you notice how many words you learned? Let me review some key vocabulary. Nautical terms: hull, mast, sail, helm, port, starboard, reefing, tacking. Weather words: gale, swells, barometric pressure, forecast. Sailing expressions: cast off, batten down the hatches, on course, becalmed. Emotional words: solitude, patience, panic, relief, euphoria. Action words: navigate, adapt, ration, secure, survived. You also learned idioms like made her blood run cold and wait out the storm. You heard different grammar structures: Past tense for storytelling, Emma sailed. Past perfect for earlier events, she had prepared. Present tense for general facts, the ocean teaches. Conditional sentences, if you respect it, you can achieve. This is how you learn English, through context, through story, through meaning. Not just memorizing lists, but experiencing language in action. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more English through adventures, please subscribe to this channel. Click the bell icon for notifications. Leave a comment. Which part of Emma's journey was most interesting to you? Have you ever done something that scared you but made you stronger? Thank you for learning with me today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, like Emma on the ocean, the journey of learning English requires patience, practice, and courage. But you can do it. I believe in you. Safe travels.